Hello and welcome to Destiny. My name is Ekuegan. You call me EK. I stream basically every day at twitch.tv/Ekuegan. If you want, you can always come in to check me out. We also have a Discord server if you're trying to get initiated into the game and figure out what's happening. This video is dedicated to all the new players that have been jumping into the Destiny universe. There's a lot to handle. There's a lot that you're going to have to tackle. And what I'm going to do here is do my best to try to guide you and not give you too much info. I want to be able to help you build a foundation. A lot of people come in the chat like, oh my God, your light level is like 1601. How'd you get there? I thought the max was this or that. I'm going to talk about all of that in this video. I'm going to talk about some of the most helpful apps to help you get going. I'm going to speak about some traits and some play styles. And I'm going to do my best to try to help you on your journey in Destiny. When you first land into this game, you got to hula hoop. You got to bounce around. You got to get your feel of the game. You have to see whether you like Crucible, whether you like, the PvE aspect of it, whether you like Gambit. Now, depending on your focus, that's where light level kind of comes in. If you're doing a lot of Crucible, you don't really need to worry about light level as much. You can just focus on getting gear. Okay, and if you need to focus on getting gear and you're just jumping in Season of the Plunder, I actually have a video, and I'm going to put the link under if you're trying to focus for gear. If you're trying to go for something maybe in stat-wise, like you're trying to get like triple tier 10s in like certain stats. Tier 10 is the max stat of anything can be, okay? So if you're trying to go for gear, I have a video for you. Now let's get to the big business. How do I start out? In the past, you needed to do the Witch Queen campaign on Legendary. Once you completed it, you got gear that was at 1520. Now, when you jump in, Bungie has actually made it easier for players to kind of have a good base startup. And if we're talking about doing PvE, a lot of it is tied to different levels. You look at different activities, and there are tiers of levels to them. So, perfect example, I'm going to show you one of the options that we have here. If I go into the Vanguard playlist, the regular Vanguard playlist, the light level requirement is nothing. I'm not going to launch it. The light level requirement should be above it, which is 1350. Anyone can run that. Now, if we go into the Nightfall section of it, right, there are different levels where you have the Adept at 1500, the Hero at 1540, the Legend at 1570, and the Master at 1600. You can also notice that the rewards are much better the higher you go up. All right. And of course, the big bad boy is the Grandmaster, where you're guaranteed Ascendant Shard, Exotics, and Adept weapons. All right. Now, if your goal is to get your level up, here we go. When you first land in, there's a place in your directory. All right. If you're in destinations, it's called the Helm. When we go to the Helm, there's going to be this chest here on the left side. You're going to land in here, and there's this chest just waiting here. When you get to it, every item is going to be base 1540. For myself, you can see that my base is 1580. Okay? And since my base is 1580, all of my weapons and armor are 1580. And you're wondering, EK, what do you mean by base? What do you mean by 1580? When I got here, I see 1540. What I mean by base is this. In Destiny, there are two sources of power. It is your gear, which contains of 5 pieces of armor and 3 weapons. So you have your helmet, your gauntlets, your chest, your boots, and your class item. You have your weapon, your energy weapon, and your heavy. What Bungie likes to do is they calculate all 8 numbers. So whatever the gear number is here, all 8 are calculated and then broken down. So since all of my gear is 1580, right? If it's all add up and I divide it by 8, that would be my base power. So, perfect example, if I decide that I want to put on something that is not 1580 and I put on something that's 1350, you're going to notice that my power is going to go down. And base power is actually what it says for gear. So you'll see here it says 1551. Okay, so 1551. The number that you've seen on your screen right now is my base power, and that depends on my gear. It is the total of all 8 things divided by 8, all right? So it sums everything up and it divides it by 8, and that is your base power. So now if I go back here, boom, I'm back up. One neat thing that you'll pay attention to here, and it shows my bonus. What is a bonus? Why is that there? Okay. So in the world of Destiny 2, Bungie has decided to add artifact power. Artifact power is unlimited. You can get as many as you want. And how do you get artifact power? There are plenty of ways to do that. Okay, by playing the game, picking up bounties from different vendors and doing them out in the open world will give you XP. Well, there's one thing that you need to pay attention to that I kind of want to nip in the bud right away. Your ghost. It has different mods. And if you don't have these mods yet, it's because you need to interact with a few vendors. And as you get engrams and stuff like that, it's going to start giving you these mods. As you're doing strikes, as you're doing multiple things in the game, you'll end up getting these rewards. The main thing here is blinding light. It increases your XP gain by 12%, meaning it doesn't affect your base power, but it actually affects your artifact power, okay? Having this on before you turn in a bounty actually helps out because it boosts that XP. Now, another thing to do is to have friends, or when you're at the tower and you see a random, you can ask them if you can join so you can get something called Share Wisdom. You'll notice that in the helm here with me, Mr. Blue's here. So while my friend is here, I get Share Wisdom, which increases more XP for me because I'm in a fire team. Now, Share Wisdom does not work while you're in orbit. So if you're in orbit, it's not going to work. When you go to the tower, it takes a little bit for that to kick in, but it works in most instances. And if you ever heard that sound right there, that ching, that means that someone just started popping some bounties, right? Now, what is the highest or juiciest form for XP? That is actually part of the season pass, which is under the quest. You have seasonal challenges, and each challenge actually gives a lot of XP. Some of them are XP plus, some of them are just regular XP, and like XP plus here. Some of them are like XP plus. So when you complete these, don't just turn them in when you're alone. Find a friend, right? At the tower, if you're on patrol, just ask someone, hey, can I join up? You know? They might hit you with this right here. Now, don't jump on my fire team. I don't know you, right? But most people are friendly. They might, emo you or whatever, let you join. You can turn your stuff in. The mix of my base gear added with the power bonus is what makes my final light level. And there are certain activities in the game that are not going to take your power bonus into consideration. There's only a few activities, okay? Perfect example, Grandmaster. Your light level is going to be capped at a certain thing no matter what, because the game requires you to be 25 levels under for that activity. All right, so this season, for example, Grandmasters are 1620. So for you to be 25 levels under, when you get in there, you're going to be 1595. So I may be 1601 right now, but when I go into Grandmaster, my light level will be capped at 1595 no matter what. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about when we're talking about an artifact, normally when you start out a new season, you get a quest. And with that quest, you can actually move up. You do the quest, then you're going to get this thing that fills in this slot here. So this is never the same. One key advice thing here, or one word of advice, this goes away at the end of the season. So you can grind it all the way that you want up, but as soon as the season goes away, this goes away. That means that the only thing that stays is your base gear. And right now what Bungie has is a system where you're going up plus 10 every season. And then usually for big DLCs, they bump us about 200 light levels. If you go into the artifact, there's different mods, and these are set up for champions. And if you need to understand what champions are like, because when you get closer to end game, champions become a thing, I have videos on different type of champions and how to approach them. Or you can always join the community and ask questions, and we can answer them. Don't forget about the Discord, all right? So I don't want to go too deep into this, but this is the artifact. And as you level up the artifact, you're going to notice that you're going to be able to pick a bunch of different options. Each thing has a different position. There are helmet mods, there are boot mods, there are glove mods. There's basically a mod for everything in the game, all right? And that is endgame, and that's something that we can get into a lot later. But just remember, you have your base power, which is just your gear, and then you have your artifact power. From here, let's say that you're 1540. You don't know what to do, where to go, how to get more power. So this season's cap is 1580. In order to get from 1570 to 1580, you need to tackle pinnacle activities, okay? In order to get from 1540, from where you're at, Base power, meaning when you're looking at here, you're looking at just your gear. In order to get your gear from 1540 to 1570, you need to tackle powerful activities. And this is where one of my favorite websites kind of comes in. It's called Destiny Optimizer. It is a website that shows you your powerfuls and your pinnacles. So when you start out, you're going to want to tackle your powerfuls first, okay? Now, if you have 3 characters, you can kind of do this ladder thing that a lot of people that play Destiny kind of do. You have one of each, because if you have 3 of the same character, it won't help you. But if you have one of each, you focus on that one character. You do the powerfuls, then once you're done, you do the pinnacles. When you're done with the pinnacles that you can cover, you're going to bring the gear over. And here's the cool thing about Destiny 2. Your armor doesn't move over, but the weapons do. So if you end up getting good weapons and you bring that over to the next character, that's already going to start that character at a nicer base, okay? So let's say that your second character that's just been made is 1540, and you end up having 1560 or, 1550 weapons. That's going to boost that character's base up already, okay? And when you get there, you don't just want to go and do your powerfuls right away. You want to even out. And one of the best ways to even out is by doing strikes or even Gambit or Crucible matches by getting blues. And when you get these blues, they're going to even you up. And once you're even and you know that you can't get any more power, that's when you are going into the next thing. Now, there's a calculator that can show you this. And here's why I like Destiny Optimizer. If you're on that character, it's going to show you your gear. And it's also going to let you know what you can do to optimize your gear. Now, on each character that you click on, you can see your powerfuls. These are your powerfuls, and there's going to be different tiers, okay? A tier 1 powerful, right? Normally, it will tell you where it's going to drop at. For me right now, I'm at max cap, so you can't see it. But tier 1 powerfuls can help you boost up a little bit more than 1540. So I believe a tier 1 powerful, if you have 1540, can possibly get you to 1550. While you are actually tackling your powerfuls, right, there's also tier 2 powerfuls and tier 3 powerfuls. That means that this is going to give you a bigger boost. There are these things called prime engrams. I don't have one, okay? Prime engrams are also a good source of powerful power-ups, okay? Prime engrams drop, and whenever they drop, you make sure that you go to the tower, you decrypt this because it can help you out. The neat thing about this is that there's going to be a buff on your screen. I don't have it because I'm out of it. It's called Prime Attunements, okay? So as you're leveling up on this checklist, you'll notice that that website is actually going to tell you, hey, you have a Prime engram. You should go turn this in. So that website is actually a really good buddy to have because you can keep your eye on that. Now, once that list is done, you're working on your powerfuls and you have your Prime engrams, and you're like, man, I keep getting all these prime engrams. I want to explain how prime engram work, okay? This may be a lot of info. Prime engrams, starting off of Tuesday, which is reset day, you're allowed 2 on that character, okay? Let's say that you don't get on that character until Friday, okay? So that means you have the prime attunement from Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Those are 4 days, so that means you're going to get 8 prime engrams before the prime attunement buff leaves your screen, okay? So focusing on one character and going to the next is actually a good thing because you'll be able to climb up the ladder because that one character has a lot of prime attunements set on it. That is basically the base focus for prime. Now, primes do cap off at 1570. Once you go past 1570 base gear and you're at 1574 or 1575, your powerfuls and your primes will drop at that base. It won't help you go up any further. That's when you jump into pinnacles, okay? So when I go back to this website, pinnacles are going to be the next thing. And when you get here, this website will also help you out. The first thing you want to tackle are tier 2 pinnacles because you want to have a huge boost. The higher the boost you have, the better you can kind of single out your gear. And once you're done, then you can go for tier 1 pinnacles. But once again, this website will let you know when you have your prime and what you can do to get to that next level. I feel like I gave enough when it came down to leveling up. And a lot of it is going to be pretty tough. Now, if you need to understand some of the mechanics or what is required for some of these things, I do have a lot of videos on my YouTube. You can always join in the community Discord. We have a D2 discussion room. It is very open. There's moderators that, you know, interact with people in there all the time. So you definitely have a resource that you can also go to. Now, I want to talk about transferring weapons from one character to another, right? We have this thing in Destiny. It's called Destiny Item Manager, okay? It is this website here that I'm going to show you. This website basically shows what's at your postmaster, what's on your character, what's in your vault, and you can click and drag stuff around. That means that you don't have to like put stuff in the vault, leave the tower, come back, and grab the next thing. I'm going to be putting links for Destiny Item Manager in here. I'm going to be putting a link for Gunsmith, which is a website where you get to see weapons and roles and see maybe there's something that like piques your interest if you want to go after a certain weapon. Destiny Optimizer is going to be at the top of that. We have Destiny 2 Armor Picker. I am going to do another breakdown video for this, but this is a website that helps you make your builds. And last but not least, we have the Legend Law Sector link as well. The Legend Law Sectors are made for players to kind of catch up when it comes to exotics. And each law sector, if you do them alone or solo and you complete it, especially if you get a platinum run, you have a high chance to get an exotic. And each day there's an exotic tied in each section. So there's helmets one day, then the next day will be gauntlets, the next day is chest piece, next day is boots. Class item is the only thing that you cannot get exotic when it comes to the gear. Okay. Now I'm going to take us over to the tower. So when people come into, they ask about powerful weapons, what exotics they should get, and things to go after. And that's kind of hard because, once again, depending on the season, the artifact kind of sways what people are going to use, especially if you're trying to slowly get into endgame. And the artifact, like I showed before, kind of like controls a lot of things for that season, right? Like here you see like pulse rifles and scouts and ARs and shotguns and bows. Some of this stuff comes into play. So I'm not just going to tell someone to go for a certain weapon and tell them that that weapon is good all the time, because there's a lot to it. There's so much to it. But this is your way of kind of coming into the game. We have this monument exotic archive here, okay? And with this, you're going to be able to purchase exotics from different seasons, stuff that you missed out on, okay? And if you have a bunch of questions for those, you can always ask me while I'm live. Doesn't matter. I'll do my best to answer. All right. So the exotic archive that's here is set up to help people kind of catch up. Now, there's a vendor named Zur. He's normally here on Fridays. He gets here on Fridays and he leaves on Tuesday. He's going to have something called an exotic cipher. Okay. And that's what this is. If you present this to Zur or you bring this to the Monument of Lost Light, you get to receive a reward. You get to pick up something from there, okay? So there's going to be things that you can kind of like pick up while you're playing the game to help you through it. Another thing that is hard for a lot of new players right now are mods, all right? There's a few vendors that sell mods, one of them being Banshee. Banshee here is the gunsmith. He'll be selling weapons from time to time, and if he has a really good one, I'll probably tweet it out and talk about it on stream. Banshee will be selling you weapon mods, as you can see here. All right, so Banshee normally has weapon mods, and Ada1, who's on the right side of the tower, who a lot of people are always waiting and anticipating for, will have armor mods. And armor mods help make a lot of builds. And if you miss out on a certain season, you're not going to have these mods. And what I'm talking about is, if I look at my collection, I'm talking about combat style mods. Okay, we have Charge Your Light mods. You probably don't know exactly what I'm talking about. I do have a video breaking down Charge Your Light. We have War Mine mods. We have Elemental Well mods. And a lot of these mods are actually crucial to a lot of different builds. And Ada is going to be on the back right side of the tower, basically. She's in her little section. Their mods change out. And Ada, well, basically daily, whenever you get on, which is 10 a.m. Pacific time right now, that is the reset timer for Ada, okay?
Hello again.
Hello, Ada. So, as you can see, she's selling chest armor mods, and she has 2 Warm My mods here. It is a rough thing, but you want to keep your eye on this. These are great out because I already own them, but you want to keep an eye on Ada. The reason why I want to keep my eye on Ada is because you want to get as many mods as possible to help you with your build. Ada 1 is definitely a very important piece of the pie here. Now, I feel like I've given you a lot of info, and if you have any question about coming into Destiny 2 at all, please feel free to pass by the stream. Please join the Discord. But I wanted to do something that was not as long, pretty forward, and I can kind of break down what you need to know about Destiny 2. And that's about it. If you like this video, please make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. Don't forget, if you want notifications for all my videos, if you go to your notification, there's going to be personalized and there's going to be all. Make sure you click on all so you get all my videos when they go live. But yeah, that's about it. I'll see you on the next one. Welcome to Destiny.